Today it's been made official that device... This has nothing to do with device. What are you on about, Jacob? Today it's been made official that Dupree, Magix, and Sonic have departed Astralis. No longer to be found in Astralis. Their contracts expired, they weren't renewed, and that means that now Sonic, Dupree, and Magix are going somewhere else to continue their Counter-Strike careers. Now, it's been rumored for a long time that those three guys would stick together and go to Vitality. Now, when the rumor first came out, people were thinking to themselves, can that really be true? Vitality, a French-speaking squad, you know, a squad that is, yeah, they're not really finding that much success. It doesn't really make that much sense, but it could make sense. Sorry if I will be interrupting. My girlfriend just walked into my room with a lot of Russian clothing stuff, and now she's interfering with my stream. I've told you, don't ever... Just kidding. She didn't even close the door. Initially, you thought to yourself, them going to Vitality, I'm not sure that makes too much sense. Then Vitality weren't really getting any better. Vitality didn't really do that well. It started to make more and more sense. Now, Vitality, from the moment that the rumors really started to circulate, started to play better and better and better. We started to be the best. We started to be the best and see the best out of Vitality for those players. They started to do well. They started to go far in tournaments. They even won IM Winter. And all of a sudden you think to yourself, is this a bit of a too dramatic change? Now, I don't think it is, but I think there's a conversation to be had. Cause of X, Y, and Z. Now, let's just take a look at the rumored lineup, right? We have Apex coming in, staying on the lineup. We have Misuta staying on the lineup. And then you have Dupree and Magix joining the lineup, together with Apex, Misuta, and of course Saivu, who will be the last guy on the team. Now, Saivu, we don't need to talk too much about Saivu, because everyone knows what kind of caliber Saivu is at. Saivu is an absolutely fantastic Counter-Strike player. Just quickly going in, looking up at his statistics the last 3 months, 1.33 rating. He's been up there together with Simple, together with Nico, a top 3 player in the world without a doubt. Was the best player in 2019, the best player in 2020. Saivu is there for good. He's going to be vital for this team. Same goes for Apex. I think Apex has done a good job being the in-game leader for this lineup. He's starting to play better and better and better. A decent rating, but as an in-game leader, he's doing a good job. Now, we're returning to Apex later because he's going to be a big conversation point for me where it could go wrong in Vitality. Misuta as well. A guy that has stepped up a lot, especially in the period where it was rumored that Vitality would make these changes. It felt like Misuta stepped up. It felt like he was starting to play better and better and better. Now, the two guys coming in need no introduction. Dupree and Magix, right? We haven't seen them play in a long time, so we don't really know where their levels are at, but we know the experience, we know they can win, we know what they're made of. So we have a lineup consisting of Saivu, Dupree, Magix, Apex, and Misuta. Initially, what I'm thinking is there's a lot of firepower. There's a lot of firepower on that lineup. Now, what could be the problems? What could be a hindering for this lineup? First and foremost, the communication, right? Everyone should know at least, that communication in Counter-Strike is super important. There's, of course, a lot of 3K Elo brain-dead faced players who have an insane amount of aim, but who don't really know how to communicate, who don't really know how to position themselves or communicate in a way that doesn't mess it up for the teammates. Now, on a pro level, communication is key. Right, a player who communicates well can be slightly worse individual than a guy who communicates super poor, and he will be picked above that guy because communication is vital, not only for yourself, but also for your teammates around you. If you're Saivu, you need to know exactly what's going on the entire map so you can rotate accordingly and you're always aware of what's happening. So communication is key. Now, having to speak English for 3 people, actually for 5 people who don't and who have never tried to be on an English-speaking roster is going to be a big challenge. I'm not saying it can't succeed. All I'm saying is it can be a big challenge for these guys. That's something they, of course, will have to address, something they have to work on, especially when you consider Misuta and Saivu are not the best English speakers out there. You don't need to be fluent in English. You don't need to be a guy who can get A grades in school in English in order to be able to speak Counter-Strike English, but you still need to be able to express yourself, especially when you're in a pressured situation. When you do it in a clutch, it's going to be tough. So that's going to be interesting to follow. Now, another thing and another story I haven't seen for my boys and my co-workers yet, at least not discussed that much, is an angle I want to take. And that's my biggest concern with this lineup. And then we'll take the positive afterwards. The personalities that you put together. You have definitely seen Magix, and I'm sure we can find a clip of that as well. You've seen Magix being, reacting out of his body. He's a guy that is very animated when he's playing Counter-Strike. Personally, I like it. I love people. I love emotions. But he's very animated and he takes a lot of space. You have definitely seen Dupree do the same thing, you know, again, a guy that is very, very animated, that plays a lot of Counter-Strike, and a guy that shows the emotions. Now you combine those two with Apex. You now have 3 guys in one team who are all super, super animated, who all react, who all slam the desk, who all do all that kind of stuff, right? That takes away, could potentially take away a lot of the focus needed. I think we're in a case where 1 or 2 of those players will have to address that. They'll have to let go of some of that. They'll have to at least think about it, make sure that doesn't feel too much, because that's just part of who they are. It's part of their personalities, and that could become a problem, which is where I'm looking towards Sonic, the coach, coming in, because Extas is not continuing. Sonic comes in, the guy who's won 4 majors in a row with Astralis, 3 majors in a row, and 4 with Astralis in total. I think that's the only coach in the world that could replace Extas, because I really think Extas is a fantastic coach as well. Now Sonic will have to address that. He'll have to keep them in a chain, sort of. He'll have to tell Dupree, Magix, and Apex, hey boys, you need to calm it down just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit, otherwise there'll be too much, you know, all over the place. The good thing is Saivu have shown that he's sitting next to Apex. He doesn't give a damn. Like, Apex is probably the most animated player and the most, you know, outraging player in the world of Counter-Strike, so he can handle that. For Misuta though, not sure that's the case. For Dupree and Magix, how are they gonna react when they all of a sudden have a teammate like Apex, who's admittedly openly saying in interviews that he can be kind of cruel, he can be kind of rude, he can be kind of, not disrespectful, but he can be kind of harsh to his teammates, but they all know that it comes from a good place. Do you think Dupree and Magix, having won 4 majors, will accept that to be the case? Do you think they'll just be like, oh yeah, that's cool? You know, initially starting, yeah, everyone will go in with a good mindset, but I've been in those situations before where after a couple of months, if you don't align, if you don't grow into that, if you don't accept that early on, that could cause problems. So that's some of the areas where I'm thinking to myself, maybe this could cause some problems. Maybe this is too drastic, too big of a change. I'm sure Vitality is as smart as I am, if not even smarter. I'm sure Dupree, Magix, Sonic, Apex for that matter as well, it's something they have talked about, it's something they have addressed. If they've just said something along the lines of, no worries, it's not going to be a problem, we'll think about it, then that's going to be a problem 100%. It's something they need to sit down and address firmly and make sure they have deals, they have agreements that can avoid them getting into situations where it takes away focus from the game or takes away focus from practice, etc., etc. Now, the positive side of it, and there's lots of positives. Sonic, a fantastic coach, a fantastic manager and management guy in terms of like catering to his players and make sure that his players feel comfortable. Now, another guy that is fantastic, of course, is Dupree and Magix. That's a duo with a lot of experience, a lot of firepower. Admittedly, we haven't seen the best from Dupree and Magix recently, especially during the second stint here in Astralis, but there's a lot of firepower in there. And if you can reignite some of that fire, you have so much individual skill collected in one team, because you have Saivu on the side of that. Saivu is, to my understanding, was at least the best player in 2019. He was the best player in 2020. You could argue whether Simple or not was the best, but very, very close. Saivu won the award. In 21, sure, he didn't have the best of his year, but then again, his stats for the year is actually better than they were when he won in 2020. It's just that Simple and Nico have been on a complete different level, so to speak, which has put pressure on Saivu. So he's still a world-class player. You then add in Misuda, who's shown himself to be a very solid player. You have a lot of firepower. You have a very well-rounded team. The only problem, and some of the problems I see, is, again, the communication in English, the fact that you have a lot of big personalities in one team, and positions. Who will have to be the quote-unquote bitch in the team? Who will have to be the guy who has to sacrifice and play some of the less exciting roles? All you can do, of course, is try to accommodate everyone and say, okay, Misuda do it on one map, Magix do it on another one, this one fits for Dupree. You can try to fit it in, but there will always be, and I talk from experience from professional teams, there will always be guys on the team who feel they have more bad positions than the rest of the boys on the team. There will always be people who you cater to. Saivu, of course, you're letting him pick whatever he wants to play, and you're still trying to set him up for success, because that's how good he is. That could potentially be a problem down the line as well. Again, the first couple of weeks of practice, the honeymoon period, everything is working well. But I've been in these situations before myself many, many times, even on the highest level, and it can cause problems. It happened to me in Liquid. Came into the lineup, I was being, I was allowed to play the secondary up role. Personally, I did well, but one of my teammates who used to play better, well, he started to play less good, and he was like, maybe I should change position. Maybe I should play the secondary up role. And I was too kind. I said, yeah, sure, let's try. I'll play your bitch role, and you take my role. I still continue to perform at a decent level, but of course I dropped a little bit. He was still at the same level, so it was a very bad decision. But those, internal struggles will happen. I was, too kind back then. Like when I think about it, I should have had more of a personality. I was trying to make up for some of my amends. I was trying to make up for some of my mistakes I made early on. So I was trying to be too nice, I think, in my time. At least some of the questions in Liquid. Do you think that's going to be the case with dupreeh, Magix, Apex, Savu for that matter, Misut? Like, do you think they're all just going to be super, super kind 6 months, 7 months from now? That's where Sonic, again, comes into play. That's where he has to be hands-on with these potential problems. Outside of that, I see the potential in Vitality. I think they're going to be a solid team. I would probably guess within a recent time frame, they'll come in to be a top 5 team on HLTV's ranking list, I'd say, with the potential to be one of the best, maybe the best in the world. But it's going to be vital that you get Magix and dupreeh ignited again. The level they showcased the last 6 months in Astralis was not bad by any means, but it wasn't their own usual self. Maybe they already knew they weren't going to extend their contracts, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not going to, keep them up to that standard. All I'm saying is that there's potential for this Vitality to be a team that no one in the world wants to face. But there's also a potential that this is a team that will have too many big personalities, too many internal problems, too many animated players that is going to take away too much focus from the game and react a little bit too much, rage, whine, complain, etc., etc. We all do it, myself included. By no means am I too good to do that, and personally I like it. I like when you're emotional about the game. It shows me that you care about it in a different way. But can you have too many of those players? All right, you have Apex, dupreeh, and Magix. They're 3 very out-reacting guys. I think, again, as I said, that's something they have to address. If they can fix that, if they can align that, and if it isn't a problem at all, right? If I shouldn't be concerned, then I think Vitality could be a very, very strong team. I regard and I think Sonic is a fantastic coach. I think dupreeh and Magix are fantastic players, and we already know what Savu, Apex, and Misuta stands for. So, Vitality, they're going to be dangerous in the future. All right, that is my little analysis segment. You can see it on YouTube soon.